Hello. So I meet B2B SaaS founders every week. So I've used my AI note taker to extract all the questions I have in these calls on positioning, go-to-market, messaging, ICP, product market fits, sales, marketing, a lot of things. And I used ChatGPT to summarize everything into a list, and I ended up with 56 questions. So that's quite a lot. But I'm going to answer all of them one by one today. If you don't want to watch the whole video, you have the list of all the questions in the description. That'll be easier for you to know which one, if you want to jump to one or the others. And you might see a few of them in shorts or on LinkedIn posts. I'm gonna repurpose this content, so don't be surprised. Let's dive in. Okay, 56 questions. So, first category is go-to-market and why acquisition isn't working. So, question number one. Why aren't we getting more replies to our outbound? I get this question quite a lot when I have founders or B2B SaaS teams that are launching their first campaign. And that usually is that you're expecting too much from the campaign. I mean that you're launching a campaign and expect people to care about you enough to answer right away. That's a lot to ask. We receive too many emails to just care about any sales one you receive. So the answer to that is that you shouldn't aim for a problem that's so painful people would pay attention. So first they can read the email, and then you can present your solution as the obvious one so they can check it out. And the reply that you're aiming for is really a low commitment one. Like, would you be interested in a small guide or an example or a free help or something that's really easy to reply to? It's linked to positioning because if you're explaining different things, aiming for a generic problem, targeting different person at the same time, it'd be hard to really be sharp and stand out in the inbox. So really understand the intent in the inbox, which is filtering what's spam and what's really interesting to read or even reply to. And once you get past this barrier, aim for something really small. And that comes from having a tight positioning on something really specific. Question number two. Why do our ads get clicks but no conversions? Again, that's something I really hear a lot from B2B SaaS teams that are launching their first campaigns, and that's because they are hoping for too much. It's usually that you think in terms of funnels and not touch points. Let me explain. If you have a funnel, like a B2C, you hope for an ad, people see a landing page, and then they convert, and they buy something. That doesn't work like this in B2B, especially if you're targeting people that are not the people that pay and actually different between the user and the decision makers, or if you're targeting people that really have for high tickets, like expensive SaaS. You should aim for less. You should aim for not conversion right away, or for like small steps, like consumptions. Instead of aiming for conversion that right away when they see the landing page, you should aim for them to read the page. That's a good start. If they read the page, they slowly get more interested about you, about your solution, about why they should care. And that comes from being specific and interest people. You have to do ads that get their attention, and you have to retain their attention. So you should be aligned with the intent that you had originally. Like if you have an ad that's really is funny and you have an landing page that's not funny, it's not matching the same intent. You really have to make sure it matches. You have to answer the questions of what they're expecting. If I click on an ad, I should expect something. If I see something that I'd expect, okay, I can now have another question. If I understand the page, what can I expect next? And it's about understanding all of these small expectations and to drive conversion. An example would be on the positioning. It's really, I have a strong problem. You have an ad that's really aiming for a problem really painful. So, okay, I care about this problem. I want to click on the ad and learn more. I go on the page and then I see an ad, something I need to buy. Of course, I'm going to bounce. If I see a landing page that's more, oh, this is the problem you have. Yes, it is. I understand the problem. It is how you can solve it with this, this, and this, and you can learn more during our webinar. That's a conversion at an webinar, but that's a small one, an easy one. So I can maybe do it. That's how you get results from ads. You expect small steps and step by step you manage that intent, that attention you have, and you deliver to get more. That was a long answer. Maybe I should be shorter for the next ones. Why is it so hard to explain what we do in under 10 seconds? That's because you're explaining too much. Uh, you want to say too many things at once. So if you're explaining 10 use cases to 5 different target audience and explain 7 different benefits, it will be too much. If you want to really be sharp and have an explanation that's really powerful and punchy, you should be tighter and explain something more specific. Like if you're like first understand the intent. If it's on a landing page, a home page, or a cold email, or during a small networking chat, it won't be the same intent. So how can, in this context, explain something people care about? If you understand the intent people have when they hear or read your explanation, that'll be easier for you to understand why you should present first. Let's say if you're on the homepage, you have to have a generic presentation. But if you go on a simplified presentation, but if you go on the whole product page, it should be really about this product or this use case. And you have to navigate and map all of this intent to make sure all your explanations are matching an intent and an expectation people have. That'll be easier. So cut out everything that shouldn't belong here, that doesn't really resonate, and just keep the core thing that people will care right now. Fourth question. Why do our demos go well but never close? That's quite of a broad question. Demos usually are misused. Like you expect people to come to a demo, see the SaaS and say, oh, I want it and buy it. That's usually problematic. If you have a demo, that's more of an enablement thing. Like demos shouldn't be a full tour of the SaaS because you're not clearly knowing what people expect from it. Demo should be confirmation of what people already know and saw beforehand. So when you target different use cases and your people that come to the demo, they have expectations, but if you don't know what they are and if you have too many things to explain, you're going to spend your whole demo talking, and even if they're interested, they won't resonate or feel that they can use your solution. The key to that is to have something really more specific. Like again, if you have a demo for only this use case, that's much easier to explain and to show people how to achieve what they want to achieve. If they come to the demo, if it means they have expectations, usually to confirm what they had in mind, and or to see a few questions that they didn't really see beforehand on the website. So you should answer this expectation and not try to go in every direction. So if I come to the demo and I hope for this tool to help me achieve this goal, you should have this demo that's only made to show me how I can achieve this goal. So be more specific and make sure to resonate with the intent and not just trying to sell. And the demos are really enablement thing. So if you want to sell through demos, don't. Use demos to book more calls, to help people be more interested, to show they can see the value, and not just try to sell them something right away. Question number 5. Why does every growth playbook try feel off? That's because it's the wrong one. If you have a playbook, it means you got the inspiration from another business, a startup, or another company. That's wrong, because something that's worked for someone doesn't mean it will work for you. If you're trying to get a playbook or an insight on how to have the growth strategy, it should come from your target customers, not from other people, company, or other businesses. If something works for a business, that doesn't mean that your business, which is obviously different. No, but there is not a single SaaS identical to another one. So if it's a different solution, it shouldn't be used the same playbook. You should really get the strategy from your target customers, saying, okay, if I understand more what drives their buying decision, now I can adapt my playbook, my growth strategy to match this intent, this need that they have. So forget the playbooks, put it in the trash, and start understanding more customers and how you can match their desire, need, and to make some money. revenue out of it. Why does each new campaign feel like guesswork? That's because it is. If you're launching a campaign and praying, that's this path to failure. What you should expect from a campaign is something that's obvious results, and if it's something that's complicating and requires a bit of luck, it's wrong. It's a bet, and you don't want to have a bet. You want to have investments that are kind of sure to perform. Let's say you're launching your very first campaign. You're not targeting a cold audience, people that don't really know you, because you spend months hoping for them to convert, to be interested, to buy from you. If you have a new campaign, you should more try to, okay, what are we doing already that we can use the campaign to improve? And so the first audience you should be targeting, for example, is your sales pipeline, because you're targeting people that are already trying to buy from you, that are considering it. So showing them your value, your logos repetitively with your campaign, it's going to help you increase your sales conversion rate. So it's kind of obvious that will help you get more revenue. So it's not guesswork because you know it will work. How 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 can it not work if you're targeting people that are already trying to buy from you? How can you not have results? So it's a retro engineering. Instead of saying I should launch a campaign to expand, you should launch a campaign to make something work better. Why are we spending more but getting less? That's because you're spending on the wrong thing. Usually when people try to spend more, it means they have something that works and they want to accelerate and expand. But instead of expanding, you should make sure to spend more to spend less. Meaning that if you're spending, I don't know, an acquisition campaign that's working, that's getting you quite a few qualified leads, if you want to spend more, you shouldn't try and just to increase the budget on your campaign because it's going to increase your number of addressed accounts, and that means slower conversion, slower results because you need more budget to nurture more accounts. It's easier if you launch a campaign to help the first campaign perform even better. Let's say instead of saying maybe putting more budget in the same campaign, put another campaign that's retargeting people that got your lead magnet or something. So you're increasing your performance so that your first campaign is getting even more result with your new budget you're spending. So you should be spending more in order to decrease your CAC, your expenses. If you're spending more just to expand randomly, it's gonna lead to burning your budget for nothing. Why do we have so many tactics but no momentum? It's because your tactics are not aligned with your motion. I mean that you probably have a growth or a go-to-market motion, meaning a direction, like a strategy that's your way of growing. Let's say inbound marketing. You're trying to get people to come to you and to buy from you by themselves. Well, if you launch tactics on cold emails, ads, or something, and it's not compounding, it will just create a few noise in every direction. If you want momentum and traction, you need to create more tactics that are aligned with your first momentum or your first strategy. So if it's inbound, let's say that you launch SEO or YouTube videos or ACA or something that works with your content for your inbound to slowly compound and all of your channels to work together. Your SEO works with your content and both get from each other. And that's how you compound and you get more and more momentum and scale, because otherwise you will just spend in every direction. What's blocking us from compounding growth? Kind of the same as the question as the previous kind of the same as the previous question. Sorry, long day. If you're not compounding in the same direction, you're probably splitting your efforts. Like I usually see early stage founders that do many different things. They launch a podcast, they launch cold emails, they launch content, and it's just too much. You have to focus into something that compound naturally. If you have, let's say, your growth is mainly through your cold emails, then you should do content on LinkedIn so you can start doing some outreach. It works together. It's not something that's splitted. It's not like if you do cold emails and then you do SEO, that doesn't make any sense. It's different, completely different. Your efforts don't compound. So if you want to have a compounding growth, you should make stuff that really is working together in symbiosis to compound over time and not split your efforts. Why are other SaaS teams growing faster with simpler products? That's because they are simpler. When you have a simpler product, it's easier to understand what it does, buy it, and recommend it because it's simple. When you have complex products, it's longer to understand it. Buying it is a long sales cycle, and it's too complex for me to recommend it to anyone. So simpler means easier to get recommendation, referral, and growth in general because it's easier to buy. It doesn't mean the product is simpler, it means it's simpler presented. That's why your product's marketing, your product's packaging is the key to get traction because of how you can compound and get leverage referrals for to recommend your product even if they don't use it. Simpler is always the best. I'm gonna do a break. I'm already tired. That's too hard to answer those many questions. I'm gonna sit a bit because I'm old. If you're watching this video, I hope you're having a good day. I'm gonna use it more for shorts, but if you're watching the whole video, that's a bit too low. Okay. Part 2, identity crisis. Is the camera okay? Yep. Okay. So, are we a tool, a platform, or a feature? That's a choice to make, and that's yours to make, depending on your strategy. I think it's always better to be smaller because smaller is easier to adopt, to understand, to sell, and to. Whereas a platform or something that's more big, it requires much more commitment, and it's much harder to sell something as an all-in-one solution because it's all-in-one. So it's gonna replace all my one tools I had as split. Whereas it's much easier to sell something that's simple, simple integration or smaller use case or something. So if you had to choose, I recommend being the smaller one, so a tool or feature, or one feature tool. But that's more of a you questions, and I'm not sure your customers would care. It's more of your strategy. I think the best would be always to be smaller. Are we targeting too many use cases? Yes, you are. Yeah, I know. If you ask this question, that you are targeting too many use cases. Even the best tools out there are known for one. Like Salesforce is known for the CRM. Calendly is known for booking calls. Loom is known for doing videos. If you're selling too many different ones at many use cases at once, you're diluting your value and your essence and the ways for people to know you. I think you have to just simplify everything and target one use case with additional features or options, but that'll be much easier to sell one. Are we selling to the wrong audience? That I can't know without the data. That's for you to know depending on a lot of things. The main one is the velocity. Like sometimes you have an audience that's buying from you, but they don't use the product enough or they don't recommend you. And that's the worst kind because it creates revenue, but not traction. And if you are a SaaS founder, especially a startup founder, you are hoping for growth and something that compounds over time. So if you're not sure which audience to target, I'd say to follow the revenue first, but not as the main KPI because sometimes revenue is not the best one to follow. I'd say the velocity. Like, are people aligned with what we sell enough to buy quickly, to use our product quickly, to see the value quickly, and recommend us quickly? If so, that's your audience. If you're split into people that you have to educate, people that are not using the product by themselves, or they are buying but not really recommending you, that's just splitting your efforts. So yeah, focus on the audience that's based on velocity. Is our product too horizontal? No. I don't really like the definition of a niche. You don't have to target a niche to grow. Calendly is not targeting a niche, but it's positioned on a niche. If your product is too horizontal, it means maybe you're doubting your audience, but I think you can have many different audience, but you should be known for something. So if you're targeting different audience with different use cases, that becomes a problem, because that means that you're trying different things at the same time and not compounding. Whereas if you target a use case, if you're a niche on a use case, even people that are not in the same audience can recommend your tool to each other. So your product is not too horizontal, but if you don't niche down an audience, niche down on a use case or a problem or something that's specific enough for people to know what you do and recommend you and associate you with this ID. So positioning, people recommend you and know you for something specific. Otherwise, they will forget you. Do we need to create a category or just pick a lane? I'd say pick a lane first because you need sales, revenue. And from the lane you picked, you're going to find a new lane. Let's explain. I believe in something that's called the purple ocean. That's my name of my business. It's the methodology I apply. You start with the red ocean where you have competition because it's a proven market. And you need first to prove that you have a market fit. People are buying from you and they can use your tool and you have something that works. Once you have this profitability, growth, etc., you identify the best segment to position on. It can be an audience, it can be a use case, a problem, something that makes you think, oh, if I position only on this thing, on this niche, that'll be much easier for me to scale because the people will understand faster what I do, they will buy faster and recommend me faster. And that's how you create a category. From within the existing category, you create a sub one, not the blue ocean that's brand new that nobody wants. You create a purple one that's based from something people actually pay for. Otherwise, you're just gonna waste your venture into creating something. Even the most famous startups like Uber is just an alternative to taxis, to cabs. Sorry. If your Airbnb is an alternative to hotels and hostels, and it's not something new. Even if it seems like it's a new category, it's actually just a new segment, a new alternative to an existing one from an existing demand already. It always comes from the demand, not from your idea of a category. Okay, part 3. Oof. 20 minutes already. Oh. Okay. Question number 1. Why doesn't our homepage convert better? That's because your homepage should not convert. Your homepage is your entry, the entry point of your website. So it should redirect or lead people, visitors, to the page that's more fitting what they are looking for. If you're trying to sell or convert right from the homepage, you're expecting too much. I've just met you, I've just discovered you, I don't want to buy anything or to give you my email. That's because I just met you. Whereas if you're telling me, oh, you're on our homepage because we do this kind of thing. If you're interested in this, go here. If you're interested in this, go here. And now I know where to go. And on these pages, like product pages, ICP pages, landing pages, that'll be easier for you to get conversions because it will be easier for you to have a specific page with the copy that was more resonating with them, more than just a random web proposition. So the homepage is the guide to the website, not the conversion page. What does everyone still ask? So what exactly do you do? That's because they don't really associate you with a category. If you're trying to build something new or unknown, or it's not clear for you, it's not clear for people exactly what you do, because they have no reference of similar things. If this is the case, as you should maybe use a category or something that's already existing as an entry point, as a reference point for people to understand better what you do. Like the famous example is we are the Duolingo but for sport. We are for the Duolingo but for school or something. We are the something for this category, and that's how you can help people understand what you do. That also usually is because you don't have a clear audience. You're probably targeting two different people. Because if you were targeting a specific kind of people, you will know how to explain to them what you do. If you're targeting different people at the same time, it's much harder to explain what you do because you have too many different ways to do so. So maybe clarify who actually are your target audience and prepare some kind of explanation of your product depending on who you're talking to. And use reference point. Reference points are usually nice and are usually good for understanding. And if you're in a red ocean, like something that's really existing, like a category that already exists, you can use the bigger names. Like we are the Salesforce, but only for small businesses. That's not the best because it's still too broad for me, but that's a first step. I have to articulate more. My French accent. Why do competitors with the worst products seem to get more traction? That's because product quality doesn't matter. The best product never wins. The product that's the most chosen wins. And to get chosen, you have to clarify your value up front. Let's say you have a complex product that nobody understands, but it's the best. Well, it doesn't really matter because people really only buy the product they understand first. So if you want to understand what gets traction is the product packaging, the marketing. How you package and market your product is the key to sell more and then get traction. If you just have a complex thing and you have generic words and nobody understands exactly what you do, that'll be hard for you to sell. And that's why competitors with the worst products will probably sell more and get more traction. Why does our messaging sound like everyone else? Well, I guess it's because you are like everyone else. No, otherwise, no, I think it's probably when you didn't really differentiate. I mean, you don't really understand what makes you stand out and how to express it. Maybe do a map, do a table of all your competitors, all the alternatives, and clarify, okay, on which context are you the best? Sometimes it's a context, sometimes it's for a specific ICP, but you have to clarify this part in order to have your messaging that's different and that sounds unique, and that stands out. Again, that's not something you should use for comparison. Like if you say, oh, but we are the best we are the fastest SaaS, or the best, or the cheapest. That's the worst way to be remembered is to stand out because you don't want to be known as a comparison. If you're known for something that's, then again, the fastest, it means there's someone else that's less fast than you and maybe cheaper. So you should stand out not through a comparison, but through something unique. Like we, in this context, are the solution for people like this. That's specific enough for people like this to understand it. I don't know if that makes sense, but really clarify it by summarizing your difference and what context you're the best in, and where you want to play in, rather than trying to speak to everyone for every different context and every different use cases. Are we saying too much or not enough? Depends on the channel. If you're in the discovery, like the consideration on the website, for example, you're not saying enough because people want to see the product and understand everything about it. But if you're more explaining at scale, like in an email or something, why people should care, you're saying too much because you lose them if you're trying to sell them. It's really depending on the intent here. Like if I'm trying to learn more about your SaaS, tell me everything about your SaaS. But if I'm not trying to know about it, I'm just doing in my daily life, and someone comes in and tell me, "Oh, you have this problem." Well, you should just tell me I have this problem. You shouldn't try to sell me everything right away. So it's all about the intent. Just align with the intent, everything's gonna be fine. Does our messaging explain what we do or why it matters? Both. Your messaging should show why it matters and why you're why you're the best for this unique problem. Like it's about context. you should explain the context in your messaging. Like your messaging should explain, okay, you have this context, there is this problem and this blocker, and we remove it with this unique approach is the best because of this. That's a long sentence, but your messaging should reflect all of this distilled in all your different touch points. It doesn't mean at once, it means explain in different parts of your messaging. Messaging doesn't mean one place, it means how you organize all your message across the channels. Why does our homepage feel safe but forgettable? You probably have a weak positioning. That's because you probably don't have a specific context you will try to play in. You're trying to play in every different use cases for different audiences. If you have a sharper use context you want to play and you know you're gonna win it, you should aim for this context only. And it doesn't mean being aggressive, it means being specific. If you stay broad to not lose any opportunities because you want to feel safe, that actually loses opportunities because you're not strong enough on one. So yeah, again, be more specific, otherwise you'll be forgettable because you're just trying to talk to everyone at once. And that's safer for you because you feel like you have many opportunities and you're not closing any doors, but that makes you forgettable because you're trying to open every door at once. That's easier to aim for one. Gonna do a break. 30 minutes. I don't know how YouTubers make videos that long. I can't speak that much. In workshops, I usually ask questions. I'm not talking that much. Focus, ICP doubts. So this question here are the ones I noted down because I saw them and I saw the doubts. They didn't really ask this, but still gonna answer them. Question number 1. Who should we really be selling to? You should be selling to people that will buy from you fast, pretty fast. And that means people that have the buying power, but see the problem firsthand and they want to solve it. So they're even better, they're already trying to solve it, but they are frustrated with how they're currently solving it. So that's your ICP. Then you have to clarify how to address them, to position for them. Maybe it's around them, or it's around a use case, it's around the problem. That depends. I can't re-explain it here with this question. Are we spreading ourselves too thin across segments? Short answer, yes. Long answer, if you have different segments, either if your position, you can have different segments, but if there is no common point between all of the segments, that's just diluting your focus. If you want to address different segments, they should have a way to link them all together. That can be the same problem or the same use case. Like Calendly is helping you book meetings because back and forth is really a pain and long and wasting time, or even more, wasting meetings. That resonates with salespeople, small businesses, project managers, or anyone that wants to book meetings. That doesn't mean it's two different segments, because it's good for them to have different ones, but they have this common problem and this common use case. So if you're doing that, that's fine. But if you're doing one different use case for all different segments, that'll be too thin. Should we double down on one ICP or keep testing? That depends on your velocity. If you're able to sell fast, retain more people, and people see the value right away and they recommend you, double down. But it's really the data that's going to prove you if you should keep testing or not. You shouldn't be scared to double down. If you see a bit of based on your hunch, but also depending on your data, if you see that it's the right direction for you. If you keep testing, that's usually when you are fearing that you're not on the right ICP, but you should get rid of this fear with data. And if you can't, then you can have to keep testing. Otherwise, it means that you didn't have a clear proof that you should go for one. But don't test for nothing. Like, test deeply. Test the traction, test the sales, test the retention, the referrals. Don't just test with one campaign and hope it will work if you just keep testing. Test like deeply for one ICP and just don't move to another one without having testing everything. Who exactly are we not for? I love this question. That's why I wrote it down. Um, when you're trying to sell to one ICP, usually people stop at the demographic and firmographic. Let's say I'm going to sell to head of sales of startups. Yes and no. Yes, you can have some common points with all head of sales. We would have the same use cases, the same problem, the same goals, but that doesn't mean all head of sales would be your perfect clients. So let's say you target this example of head of sales in startups, and you have a tool that allows you to use AI to coach sales reps. Well, some head of sales are going to be, okay, all in, I think AI is perfect to save some time and to help my reps get better. But some head of sales are going to be, no, resisting the change. I'm saying, no, AI is not good because you should learn by yourself. That's how you really learn something, by testing it yourself and becoming better across after a few calls, after many calls. And you are not for people that are against your belief. So you're not against people who are against your mission, your purpose. And that's even if you're same demographic or demographic, you have to clarify that all of this psychological behavior are also part of your ICP. So you are not for people that seem to be in your ICP but are not believing the same thing as you. And if you can do this exercise of explaining this, really specifically who is your ICP, at some point it would be nice to do who is not your ICP but who have the same criteria. And that would be interesting for you to see that there are some differences. Are we underperforming or just overreaching? Probably, I wrote this question based on a call out recently because the founder was doing too many things at once. If you're underperforming, it means you're split. If you were in one direction only, you will always be performing or getting answers. And if you're not getting answers and still not performing, that means you're just spending for nothing. So even if you're not hoping for sales, you should hope for learnings. And if you're not doing that, then you're underperforming and you're wasting everything. Okay, you can feel these questions are shorter. Only 3 in this category. I got tired of writing everything, and I used the AI for summarizing, but a few ones were mine. I mean, all of these questions were from calls, but I rewrote a few, and that took some time. So, why does marketing say one thing and sales say another? That's because you don't really align your teams on the same things. If you have one clear source of truth of insights, your teams will align on it. If you have internal meetings that say, okay, this customer is a perfect example of ICP, that'll be easier for people to get a line on what to say. But if you don't have the same alignment internally on who is your audience, well, marketing will try to reach them one way, and sales will try to just do whatever they want in the calls to close them. And that will not create a clear messaging and a clear alignment with all the departments. And that's why you should clarify your audience and your use case and your everything that's about positioning and messaging internally. And that will result in better alignment and in so better performance. Why does our go-to-market feel disjointed? That's the question I wrote when I see so many founders do different things at the same time. It's because you probably have investors or pressure to do something, but then at the same time you still want to explore one direction and another. And that's where I see founders keep shipping features when they don't really sell the first one already. So I think you a focus on a clear goal. If your go-to-market feel disjointed, it's because you have too many different goals. I think your goal should be not always revenue, but proving a market fit, proving that this feature is something people want, instead of just saying, oh, we're going to try this and try this and try that. You should have a clear goal of what you're trying to achieve, and that will align everything into one direction. Why can't we agree on who our ideal customer is? It's because you have different opinion. You don't have a clear metric to align on. let's say your C-levels, your executives are looking into the revenue part, well, but at the same time, your product team is looking at the usage and your marketing is looking at the leads. Well, you are all different metrics. They are not the same because leads are not always revenue. Revenue is not always product usage, and product usage is not always revenue. So it's really, you have to find the balance and align on one metric. That would make it easier for everything. Like my favorite metric is who is actively, it's not a metric, it's more of an addition of who is actively buying from us, using our products and getting value from it, and recommending us. This is the three main one, and it should be aligned. And based on who all your customers, who is doing all three: buying, using, getting value, and recommending you. And that's your ICP. If you have just different metrics across different departments, that's why you have different definition of who your ideal customers is. Ideal customers are. 40 minutes of answering question. That's way too long. Oh, damn. I have too many questions here. Oh, are we really found PMF or are we just really lucky? That depends on retention. Product market fit is based on, do people keep using your product and paying for it? If they stop, you don't have a market fit. If they stop for competitors, you're behind. But if you have people that come and buy and stay, you have a market fit. And really be careful at the beginning when you're early to get people that say they're interested, but they don't actually buy from you, nor stay afterward. It's noise. Just focus on really the metric on people that stay. Why do new users churn even when they say they like the demo? That's because of the value. Even if you like the demo, if you use the product and you get value from it, but afterwards it stops, that's when you churn. Churn happens when people don't get the value. It's not linked to likability. People don't really stay because they like you or something. It's because they get value from it. It's the word here is liked, and that's what the problem is. If you like the demo, that's good. But if you saw some value from getting your tool and using the SaaS, that's how you want to keep using it. So look at not the usage, no, it's not even the usage. Look at how people get value from it. Sometimes it's not even the usage. Sometimes it's just being reliable and not thinking about the tool. It's find what your value is and do people actually get it or keep getting it? And even better if they can keep getting more afterward. It'd be even better if it compounds. If it compounds and you get more value as you use the tool or as time goes by, that's your key to retention. Why are some customers obsessed but most never activate? That's an ICP problem. If you have too many different customers profiles or target audiences, that'll be hard for you to have a clear focus. Like if you focus on people that are, free users, it's not the right metric to follow. Like if you follow like customize everything, your best customers are those who are obsessed and use it. If most never activate, well, maybe consider positioning only on those for those customers, so you can get more of them, and they can recommend you to others like them. If most never activate, it's just noise. Ignore them, or if you really want to focus on them, maybe in a second time, in a later stage, because if they don't activate, it means they're not interested. But some are interested, so maybe it's not a positioning issue; it's just a wrong target audience. Are we getting traction because we're good or because we're cheap? Cheap can be good, but cheap is bad when it's your main value. So if you get traction because of price, it's a good thing to get first customers and revenue, but that's a risk for the long term because cheap always can be cheaper when you have offshore or AI that's creating a competitor or something. So you can use your price as the first go-to-market value proposition, a way to get customers at the beginning, but be careful to not be in the main value of being cheap. Otherwise, you will just lose customers when someone cheaper comes out. So for the reason I don't know, because it's a quite broad question, but if it's the main reason why people stay, maybe consider working on something else, like your positioning being the best for an audience, a specific use case, rather than being the cheapest. What's the one problem we solve so well people will miss as if we vanished? That's the question I so often, because people are intoxicated with the idea that if you have to position it on a problem, you don't have to position on a problem. You have to position on the context. That's different. Because let's say my positioning is on the context of, okay, my category customers, B2B SaaS founders, their positioning is so weak, they see problems on acquisition, on sales, on marketing. That's a problem, but I'm positioned for the context of, okay, I have all of these are working, I have good enough result, and I want to scale for traction. For this context, I'm the best for this. If you're trying to position on a problem, you have to make sure it's a problem that's worth, how to say it? That's painful first, of course, but that doesn't mean it's your only option. It doesn't mean that you have to position on one problem. You can position on multiple problems. I'm going to use the example again of Calendly. Calendly is positioned on the problem of back and forth are tedious if you want to book a meeting, but they are also positioned on the problem of booking a meeting. We lose customers when we try to book a meeting because we can't find a time that fits. So it's a different problem, but it doesn't mean they're positioned for one only. It means they're positioned for the context of, okay, I want to make sure I book a call quickly. That's the context they're positioned for. So don't position on a problem, position on a context. Why do customers sign up but then go cold before they eat value? Because they don't eat value. You should make sure they eat value before buying your SaaS. If they don't see the value before, they should see the value before buying, and they should see it so clearly they believe that if they buy the SaaS and do everything you say, they will get the value. If they go cold before they eat value, it means they didn't believe in you. It means they didn't see the value coming. So it's all about the clarity on where will they get value and prepare them to get it. Are we solving a nice to have or a real pain? Well, you'll know if the people buy quickly. If you're positioned on outcomes, let's say grow faster, that's nice to have. If you're positioned on a real pain, stop sending emails manually. That's something people resonate more, so you will sell faster. Why does every customer seem to see us differently? This question really depends on the industry and how you explain your SaaS on your website. It's probably that you have different use cases for different customers and that you're doing too many different things. Maybe you're still doing custom work, or maybe you're still too split in different directions. So you should more try to align on the best way for you to grow. And that means choosing which customers, which use case, which context we are the best for. If people see you differently depending on who they are and what they use your tool for, that means you're doing too many different things at once. How do we know if we're solving the right problem for the right person? Sales, revenue. Short answer, I'm tired. Why are referrals so rare even when usage looks decent? That's the key to traction. If you get referrals, you get traction because that's how you can get more customers from existing one without spending more. So that's how you can leverage and scale. Referrals can be low or rare when people are not proud of using your product, of when people are not willing to share they're using your product. Let's say if something quite personal or shameful, like writing LinkedIn post or something. People don't share your SaaS when they don't communicate with their peers. That can be the case for financial roles, for example, like CFOs don't really communicate financial things with other CFOs. It's how you have to choose the audience accordingly. And you have a different way also, like if your positioning is too unclear, like if you're not explaining, it's hard to explain what you do. It's hard for people to refer you because you're doing too many different things or too complex things for you to explain. I mean, there is no shortcut to explain it. and when you don't show clearly who you're for or what context you're for, so people don't know when to recommend you. And if you get all the 5 ones, an audience that's really willing to share, making them proud, they know how to explain you quickly who you're best for, what context you're best for, and what was the last one? I'm getting tired. They naturally share what they do with each other. That's how you get traction. And if you have something that blocks, maybe one of those 5 things. Okay, that's a long. I'm not sure even nobody's gonna even watch this. We'll see. Positioning, strategy, and clarity. Should we niche down or stay broad? You should niche down, but not on an audience, but on a context, meaning a use case, a problem, something that shows what context you're the very best for. Because staying broad actually slows you down, because you think you have many different options, but actually it slows you in terms of how do you what you should be the best for. Like if you're good for everyone, you're exceptional to no one. Sorry. Whereas when you niche down from the context, it's easy to know when you're the best choice. So that's what you should aim for. Is our positioning actually differentiated or just wordy? That's you'll see in your sales cycles. If prospects see right away why they should choose you over others, you have a positioning that's differentiated. If it's just wordy, your sales cycles will be low because of the comparison. People are going to compare you. So that's the key to know if you're a real difference in terms of positioning, how you're perceived, or if it's just a wordy and then people still compare you. What's the sharpest reason someone would only choose us? Again, that's the positioning on the context. If you can show why you're the very best for a context, that's the way to get chosen. Let's say someone is looking to manage his leads. Well, you can look at Salesforce for the CRM, but for the very specific context of I'm managing my leads as a small business owner because I'm doing outreach on LinkedIn, you have more chances to win on this sharp context. So the sharpest reason to someone would choose you is if you have the best for a really, really sharp context that fits theirs. If a competitor with better marketing came tomorrow, would we survive? I hope you would. But I guess if you wouldn't, it would be because you don't have a marketing. When you're first, that's an advantage, and you have to leverage it. That means create some authority, a strong market positioning, and you should do it right now if you want to get results next year. If someone comes tomorrow with better marketing, even without the product, and we are not doing anything, they can still take your customers because they will create more authority on the topic that you're positioned for. So instead, you should aim really for speed. Speed is the key. Speed is the key for every business, even new ones. That's how you can outrun the bigger ones, like AI and Salesforce. Salesforce is way behind AI tools. How do we become the default choice in somewhere, not the runner-up in everywhere? That's choosing the context you want to fight in. That's kind of choosing your battlefield. If you're trying to fight on a whole planet, it's going to be a long fight. But if you're choosing to fight in a specific square where you know it's your place, it's your spot, and you know you're going to win there, that's much easier. So to become the default choice in somewhere, it's choosing this context by identifying your sell and you see what sticks, what's the best use case, what's the best ICP, the best way to frame your offer, your solution, and then you become the default choice by choosing to position only for this context specifically. You become only the only choice for there because you're only doing this. You have to say no to all the rest because you want to be great at some place. Would I buy this if I wasn't building it? That's I used the AI note taker for the questions. So we use the questions I ask founders. That's the question I ask. If you're one of the best way to grow is to have a product that you can use for your own business. And If you wouldn't buy such a product, that'd be harder for you, especially in early stages. Okay, last part. I'm gonna go back up. Long day here. I don't know about you. I hope you have a good day. Everything going well. Maybe you signed a customer. I hope. That's way too low. I'm a bit tall. I mean, not that tall depending on where I live, but for here in France, I'm quite tall. So everything is a mess when I need a desk that comes up. Sales and velocity. Last one. Let's go. Why are our sales cycles so damn long? That's because you're not differentiated. If you get people into your sales cycles, that's a good thing. I mean, there is some interest, some demand. But if people are not buying quickly, it means they don't perceive why you are the alternatives and why they should buy right now. So if you should differentiate and show why you're the best for this context, plus you spot a really urgent pain, that's a pain. That's why you should really have a context that works for you. That's how you create some sales faster. The best would be to identify what's the push event. What is the moment, the context, the specific moment in their life that's gonna make them buy right now? Let's say a deadline, let's say Series A or something. There is something, an event that say, oh, we have to use a solution right now to get rid of this problem right now. Without this urgency baked into your solution, it's gonna be hard to show why they should be hungry. No, they should really, really excited to buy your product right now. They should be really excited. I don't know how to say it. You should really focus on the context where you know it is gonna have a deadline for you to be able to push it and make people buy quickly. Otherwise, if it's just a nice to have, it's longer to sell and almost impossible sometimes. Why do deals feel like a grind even when the fit seems right? Again, that's about context. When you don't have a context that's proving your urgency and why they should buy you right now, it's a fight against the tide. It's easier if you position for a context that has some kind of deadline, like a expiration date. I don't mean include fake pricing, fake discounts, or anything. I'd say that if they don't solve the problem right now, they have problems in the future. That's the cost of inaction, and you can use that in your sales pitch. Why do leads need so much education before they get it? That's because you're targeting the wrong leads. If you target leads that need education, you're targeting too broad target segment. But if you target people that already know the problem and know they need a solution because they're trying to fix it, they're still not there yet, that's easy for you to buy. And you don't want to spend your sales efforts, especially as salespeople are quite expensive, on the wrong leads, and that means clarifying your ICP with a more specific one that's ready to buy. What would we need to change so that buyers come pre-sold? You need to have a position that's really strong in terms of how you position for a problem that's painful and that requires some action right now. Plus, being the unique solution and enable on your website for people to understand everything about your product. If you want buyers to come pre-sold, they need to believe in your purpose and how you promise and how you're going to help them achieve their goal. So it's all about enablement before the sales call and not just the fix you have to do after. So again, all your marketing should be around the problem, around the use case, and your website should show buyers your vision, how you can help them, and proof so they can just come and just confirm, check the checklist before buying. Why does our demo to close rate suck? And that's because your demo sucks. It's because your demo is aimed to sell, whereas your demo is not meant to sell. Your demo is to answer expectations. If I come on a demo, it means I'm expecting something. I'm expecting a few things to my checklist to be verified. So if you're expecting your demo to do everything for you, like the present the product, sell it right away, it's gonna be too pushed and too salesy, and it won't work. You should more try to enable them to understand your SaaS better and to help them make a decision rather than push them the pressure to buy your tool right now. Why does every deal feel like starting from zero? Marketing. That's maybe because marketing plus your positioning is quite weak. It means that it doesn't make sense right away why we should buy from you, just to explain it, and that takes time and resources. That's why your marketing, your website, your explanations, plus how you explain people and you contact them, and even in call outreach, how to explain them why they should care about you and why they should trust you, should be something that's kind of pre-built. Like over time, you should build stuff in order for them to kind of do the sales on their own before they come to talk with your salespeople. That's called demand gen, and that's something you have to implement as you grow. And otherwise, if you keep relying on your sales efforts, you have this every single time. You have to start again. So that's why marketing is important so, from a marketers. Why aren't more prospects saying this is exactly what you need? And why aren't more prospects saying this is exactly what we need? You're probably too broad. If you know your customers enough, you know what they're expecting. So if they're not saying this, that means that you have assumption, and that's how you built your explanation, your pitch, and everything, instead of positioning on what they were telling you. So stop trying to explain how great your solution is, and listen to them more, and see what they actually want, not need, want. And when you know what they want, you put your pitch around this, not around what you believe they need. It's different. People don't buy what they need; they buy what they want. That's a lesson to learn. Why are bigger deals so much harder? Are we not credible enough? That depends. Bigger deals depend on if you're selling to enterprise. Enterprise are quite a hard target audience when you get started. That means maybe it's hard for them not to trust you, but to see the relevance for their use case. And credibility comes from how well you executed this specific context for others before. So when you expand and you launch new segments, like new different customers, you have to you have to repeat from scratch a success story on a specific use case, on a specific context. And once you have a context that's working, then you can try to find people that want the same context, are in the same context for them to buy from you. If the deal feel hard or slow, etc., it's either because you're targeting slow people, slow enterprise are really moving slowly, and you're a startup, so you're not used to it, or that's because you have to still prove yourself on this context. We know we are good, we are delivering results, and we can prove it. That's how you get credible on something. You get authority. How do we stop losing to do nothing? That's urgency and relevance. Like, do nothing is your number one competitors in most cases, because if people don't change the way they work, they don't make any mistake. Like, your people you're talking to, probably the champion, like your managers, maybe people that are trying to get a new solution, they don't want to be blamed if the company makes an investment and it doesn't work. So to do nothing is usually the safest alternative. And what you're trying to do is actually to show that your safest alternative is actually using your solution. So to show you're the safest, you have to show you're the best for this context. You know exactly what they are going through, and you've done this before, and you're the best for this specific context and not just the generic. That's how you show that for this context where they have this cost of inaction, if they don't act on this problem, they're gonna waste a lot of resources, money, or whatever. That's if they don't act on this, they will lose X, Y, Z, and your solution is the best for this specific thing. Whereas if you do nothing, you will just lose everything. It's kind of positioning you on a do nothing versus using us, but you really should aim to be the safest alternative. And that's again, showing how well you understand them. Why is sales struggling to pitch us clearly? That's because they are not clear on who you're selling to, what they're expecting, and what do they want, and what would make them buy. You have to know your customers better, your target customers, your ICP, and if you know them well enough, the pitch will be natural because you won't be pitching, will be helping because you know their problem and you know what they need in order to achieve what they want to achieve or get rid of the problem. And if you're struggling to pitch, that's because you're pitching instead of listening to then help. So instead of trying to pitch, understand more your customers, and then it'll be natural for you. Okay, I finished. 1 hour of recording. I've never done that long for what I keep talking on by myself. And I have to record a podcast afterwards. It's going to be a long day. But it's all right. That's the life I've chosen. Thanks for watching this. I don't know if anyone will, but I hope that was interesting. And good luck for your B2B SaaS growth. If you have any more questions, I'm available in the comments or on LinkedIn, as you prefer. Have a good day. Bye-bye.